Okay, take two. My apologies, people. Yeah, doing a dual stream with Twitch and YouTube, and that was the first time trying to do the YouTube live events where I had it scheduled a couple hours beforehand, but the restream that I used to split between the two streams was not very friendly there. So my apologies for the wait. Welcome back to another Monday Night Teach and Play, normally with Michael and Mandy. You may notice a distinct lack of Mandy tonight. She's in Essen, so she's getting to play all the new hotness that's out there. So I'm doing a solo game tonight, but I'm not here solo because it will be a little difficult for me to control chat and teach and play the game all at the same time. So for the regulars in the chat, you may recognize the handle Ripped Punzel. That's Susan, and she is joining me here tonight. Hello, Susan. And she's going to watch the chat for me and let me know if there's anything that requires my attention, because I don't want to be missing any questions that people have. I'll try and watch it as much as I can, but obviously while I'm teaching and playing, that's difficult, and that's normally what Mandy would do, is draw my attention to stuff like that. So I do see people are out there, so that's louder, please. That's fantastic. Yes, exactly. So yes, I appreciate you holding on for the 15 minutes that it took for me to get on. So yes, today is going to be Hostage Negotiator, the Crime Wave standalone expansion. It is a standalone, so you can play with just the Crime Wave copy, the Crime Wave version, or you can add in stuff from the base game as well and combine the two. So yes, I will start unless there's any questions. The Codex Dice Tower, yes, Riso, love it. That's from, yeah, got that from Kickstarter, and I've got some spell books from that company as well. Anyway, that is a very nice, nice dice tower to use. So I'm going to start with, like any game, I'll start with setup, and the first thing you start with is the board. Now I'll start by saying that everything that I'm using right now is just from the Crime Wave standalone expansion itself. I haven't added anything in, so if anybody is watching that has only picked this up, then everything that I'm using is available in the expansion itself. The exception being, I'll switch over here. The exception being, I do have these meeples. I've got a whole bunch of them from Meeple Source, and those represent all of the various abductors that you can be playing against. That is purely cosmetic, so you don't have to worry about those. That is the only thing that is separate from what comes in the box.
I have a question from the audience. Of
yes.
course, you're known for your choice of beverages, and the audience would like to
yes.
know what your choice is
this evening's
tonight.
beverage, how have I themed that? Theming to this game is very difficult. Hostages, Hostage Negotiator. What I've done is, the whole point of this game is releasing the hostages, right? I'm trying to release as many hostages as possible and capture the abductor. So I'm having a beer from a local brewery called Big Rig, and it is their black IPA called Release the Hounds. That's as close as I could get to theming Release the Hounds instead of releasing the hostages, but it's close. Okay, so yes, everything is in here except for cosmetic changes with that, and of course the dice tower does not come with that as well. So you're going to start with your board. So here's the board from the actual expansion from Crime Wave. The one in the base game is a little smaller, and I do have that for reference later on once I have this board fully set up. But a couple points of interest. You have the abductor is going to go here, where obviously it says abductor, and what I like about this board is it tells you how to set up right on it. So when you're first getting used to the game, your reminders are here in terms of how to set the game up. Any hostages to start will go into the hostage pool, and then as you save them, they go here. If they get killed off, which we're trying to avoid, then they'll go over here. So you're going to have your board set up. Then you're going to have your abductor. You're going to pick the abductor you want to play. There are many in the box, and many more that you can get outside of that with the original Hostage Negotiator, or they also have abductor packs that you can get. So I'm going to start with the one that is recommended for your starting play, because that's how you're going to start when you get the game, and you'll see how that one plays out. And setup will vary based on the abductors that you pick. So I will be picking Elijah Ramon. On the abductor card, they have some artwork that represents them. They have the backstory. You know what? I'll start with the backstory, so you know what I'm up against here. So Elijah Ramon. Elijah has spent her life running from her problems. Last night, that involved consuming an entire handle of whiskey and getting behind the wheel. She never saw the police officer or the pedestrian on the shoulder of the road. It was a routine traffic stop until they became victims of a hit and run. Thanks to a civilian tip, your colleagues have found Elijah hunkered down in a fast food joint with 8 hostages. The only thing she wants is to escape, and she'll bolt the first chance she gets. So again, looking at the abductor card, it has, this will be the starting demands. I'll get to that in a second. This has your starting hostages. So it mentioned that she has 8 hostages in that fast food restaurant, and your starting threat level of 4. And then any conditions for that specific abductor. So when you're setting up, you're going to have your abductor, and then you'll also have a card called Second in Command. So here's the Second in Command card from the Crime Wave expansion. There's another one from the base game as well. And that goes underneath your abductor. So if you do capture your abductor before you've released all of the hostages, the Second in Command would then take over. So looking at Elijah, again, she has the 8 hostages. So I'll put them up here into my hostage pool. A threat level of 4. Now this is where I'm going to grab a board. This has the exact same meters on it. So I'm going to use this for reference. So a threat level of 4, so you can see this is your threat meter. Anywhere from a threat of 2 up to 6 means you get to roll 2 dice. If you can get the threat down to 1 or 0, you're going to get to roll 3 dice, which is going to be highly beneficial. And if you go all the way up to 7, you're only going to get to roll 1 die, which makes things much more difficult. So you try to control the threat level. And I'll show you how you do that later. But in this case with Elijah, it's going to be a threat level of 4 to start. And I'll have the meeple line down so it's a little more visible on the camera.
The bowls are actually silicone baking cups, in case Ziggy Bobinator is wondering about those.
Yes, they are just muffin cups, and nice and flexible, and they are perfect for holding game bits on the board. And thematic if you're playing Food Chain Magnate. For anybody that's played that, yeah, there are so many bits in that game, and you know, being muffin cups, it works quite well thematically. All right, so we've got our abductor, and we've got the starting hostages, we've got the threat level, and then the condition for, or the starting demands for Elijah is 1 escape demand card. So like it said in the backstory, all she wants is to get out. She just wants to escape. So I do have some decks set up over here. We've got an escape demand that's going in. I don't get to see what that is right now. It's just draw from the escape demands and put it up top. All of the demands will go across the top. Some of the abductors will have major demands that you need to fulfill or solve. In this case, it's just going to be escape demands. And where she plays a little differently is she will have more as the game progresses, because the bottom portion for her is called Any Way Out. Anytime 1 or more hostages leave the hostage pool, whether killed or saved, put a new unrevealed escape demand card into play, up to a maximum of 4 total escape demands. So it doesn't matter if they get saved or killed, as soon as 1 moves, more demands will come in. We're still good?
Still good.
All right, excellent. Okay, so next up will be, let's see here. Next up will be the terror deck. So again, it does have the instructions here on starting or building your terror deck. So I have my terror deck already built, but the way you do it is you're going to have 1 pivotal event card. Now, I'm not allowed to look at this, so I'm just going to show you the back of it. They are the gold cards, and they usually will result in game end. So that is going to be the last card in the deck. Then 10 more terror cards get taken, and I'll show you these as I draw them, but right now I can't look at them either. And they get put on top. Now, this terror deck is going to serve a couple purposes. First of all, it's the game timer. So I have roughly 11 turns to solve this game. Because at the end of every turn, you're going to be flipping over another card. Now, I say roughly because there sometimes are effects that will flip more cards and just shorten the timer. Or sometimes it will add another one of those gold pivotal event cards. So that's why I do have additional cards set aside. All right, so then after that, we've got your conversation point marker, which goes on the blue spot on the track. So at the bottom here, this is the starting point for the conversation point marker. And I know it's a little rough to see, but you've got positive numbers going up here, negative numbers going down here. Conversation points are the currency in the game. So at its base, this is I'd call it a deck builder in a sense, but you're not really building, I'll call it a hand builder. You're just purchasing cards that you then spend. You don't get them back again unless you purchase more. And you do that through the use of conversation points. And all of that I'm going to describe as we're playing. I don't want to do too much up front because it can mostly be explained as we're playing along. And let's see here. We've got, after that, all of our conversation cards. So that's the tableau I have sitting in front of me. Each card has a cost. So the 6 that I've got set off to the side here have a cost of 0. So this is what a conversation card looks like. And in the bottom right corner, you can see it says a cost of 0 and in blue, whereas some of the other cards, like this one, has a cost of 3 in the white text bubble, if you will. So when you start the game, you get to start with the 6 0 cost cards. All of the rest are set up for you to purchase, and you need to spend the conversation points to be able to purchase these cards. And I think that is it for setup. Now, the way that we're solving these cards, again, we'll go here. Every card has 3 different potential results. At the top, you've got 2 successes, and when we look at a die, they have numbers, so you can see there's a 6 at the bottom, and that would be a 1, which is blank. So there are 2 successes, the 6 and the 5. There are 3 blanks, the 1, 2, and 3. And then the 4 is a potential success. I'll show how that works when it comes up. So back to the card, if you get 2 successes, then the top section is the result. 1 success, and then a failure. If you don't get any successes, that is the penalty for not getting any successes. So as you're playing, you'll be playing a card and then doing a threat roll to see how well you've succeeded on that card or not. And again, the number of dice you get is based on the threat meter in the middle. There's another use for cards. Actually, I'll explain that as well. The back of every card shows, and these are conversation cards, the back of every card has a 1 with +1 to your conversation meter, or 2, and that is discarding 2, so this is discarding 1 card to get +1, or discarding 2 cards to switch that 4 into a success. So you would get to, if you roll the 4, if you discard 2 cards, you can switch it to a success. So it's not an immediate success, but it comes at a cost of having to throw some cards away, and the cards are what you need to progress through the game. So I think that's enough explanation. So we're going to get into it. Now, I played a couple times before the stream, pulled off the win, and that's exactly what happened when I did the Friday playthrough, and it did not go well when I went live with that. So I'm fully expecting to not succeed, but I will do my best. If history repeats itself, it won't end up well for the hostages. Win conditions. I'll go over that. You need to have 3 conditions fulfilled in order to win. 1, you need to save at least half of the hostages. 2, you need to capture or eliminate the abductor. And 3, not have any hostages left. So even if I've saved, of the 8, even if I've saved, we'll say 5 hostages, I still need to resolve these final 3. There cannot be any hostages remaining.
We have faith in you too.
Okay, thank you. I'll see what I can do. It didn't work in Friday, and I played Friday twice on the live stream, lost both times. Part of it is the magic of trying to teach live, right? I can't correct any mistakes in editing. It's all live, so like I normally say, this is about teaching the game, not necessarily teaching how to play well. It's just teaching how to play, but we'll see how I can do.
But I do like the cut of your pom-poms. There's Ziggy Bobinator.
Flailing pom-poms.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Ziggy Bobinator. Yes. All right. So the first thing I need to know is what are the demands from this abductor? Now, in this case, right now, she only has one demand, but I need to reveal it. So one of the cards I have. Question?
Yes, there is a question. When you say that you have to get rid of the abductor, does that mean you also have to get rid of the second in command?
No. As long as the main abductor is gone, if there are still hostages, that's when the second in command comes in. But as soon as all of the hostages are resolved, and I say resolved because it could be saved or killed, then the second in command basically surrenders. Not as strong-willed as the main abductor, but good question. Thank you. And when I say resolved, it goes against the theme, and I really hate to say this because it doesn't feel right saying it, but let's say I was in a situation where I had saved 5 hostages. What happens to those remaining 3 is irrelevant to me. I just need them out of the hostage situation. If all of them got killed, I still win the game because I saved half. So the hostages being killed isn't always a bad thing, and it irks me to say that because thematically that just feels so wrong. Mechanically, though, that's part of winning the game.
I have another question from Jeremy. Hi, Jeremy. He's new to gaming, and he'd like to know who the publisher is and if this is available yet.
This is absolutely available. Thank you for bringing this up. This is from Van Ryder Games. So this is the standalone expansion for Hostage Negotiator. There is the original version. Came in a smaller box. I'm going to show the insert off at the end of the stream. But here's the, let's go this way. That's the original game. And it does actually fit into the expansion box. And that's been out for a while now. But this just came out, I'll say, within the last couple months. It was on Kickstarter. But yes, Van Ryder Games is the publisher. And this is a one-player only game. This is a solo game. Okay, so I need to find out what the demands are for this abductor. So I'm going to start with a card, and again, this is one of these zero-cost cards. I'll also mention in the bottom, I'm looking at this backwards, in the bottom left of the card is a little gun symbol. That indicates that it is from the Crime Wave expansion, and you'll see that on all of these cards because, again, I'm only using the Crime Wave cards in this game. So this is asking, what are your demands? I need to know what it is she's looking for. If I get 2 successes, I'll get to reveal a demand and go up 2 on the conversation meter. If I get 1 success, I get to reveal a demand or add 1 to the conversation meter. If I fail, then the threat level goes up. She gets angry with me, and the threat meter will increase. And at the bottom of the card, there's some flavor text. So in this case, I want to help you, but my hands are tied until you tell me what it is that you want. So I will play that with a threat meter of a threat level of 4. I get to roll 2 dice. 1 success does mean I get to reveal a demand or go up 1 on the conversation track. Obviously, I want to see what that demand is. So what do we have? We have, I'm going to walk right out of here. Oh, this is not a good one to start. Okay. So here's what an escape demand looks like. And I'll read that out. But the main thing is she's going to walk right out of here if the conditions are right. Once this demand has been revealed, and as long as there is at least 1 hostage in the pool, I have to make a threat roll at the beginning of each conversation phase. If every die result is 1, this demand is automatically conceded. Now, the penalty for conceding, any of these demands will have the penalty for conceding at the bottom, and in this case, the abductor escapes at the end of the conversation, which means game over at the end of that turn. So this is going to go face up in the demand section, and at the start of every turn, and it does say to use an alert token. So there are these alert tokens. They're little tiny tokens. just a little exclamation mark. And they're used as reminders all over the board in different decks when stuff like this comes up. So it's, in this case, it's telling me to put it on top of that blue mark here to remind me at the start of every conversation phase, I need to do a threat check, which in this case is 2 dice. And if everything is a 1, if they're all 1s, she's going to walk right out at the end of that turn. So I do not want to get to that level 7 on the threat meter because I'll only be rolling 1 die, and there's a 1 in 6 chance that the game ends at the end of that turn. At least with 2 dice, it's a 1 in 36. If I can get it to 3 dice, a 1 in 216 chance. So I don't want to get down to 1 die. All right, so I know what her demand is. So that will then get discarded. And the way that the game turns work, I don't think I've mentioned this yet. The game turns are done in 3 phases. First is the conversation phase, and that's going to be the meat of the game, is playing these cards, trying to obviously save hostages and reduce the threat level, get some conversation points so that I can spend those to get more conversation cards. The second part is the spend phase, and that's where I would then spend those conversation points to buy these cards. And then the third is the terror phase, where I draw from the terror deck. And that's the counter, is each of those cards turning is 1 more turn taken out of the game.
That absolutely is a brutal demand card. Agreed.
Yes. Yeah, it means at any point it could be my last turn. So hopefully that doesn't trigger. That is not the one that I wanted to see as my starting demand. But let's go. So I do have, so like I said, you start with the 6 0 cost cards. And the breakdown of that would be 2 of the what are your demands, 2 keep cool, and 2 small talk. I'll show you what the other cards are once I'm playing them. But what this means right now is the what are your demands card. I don't need to play this now because I know the only demand. I don't need to be rolling more dice to risk the failure option. So I can save this card for later. One thing I'll mention is some people, I've seen some reviews of this game that have said that the game is just way too random because you're rolling dice every single card play. And I felt the exact same way. My first couple plays, I was thinking this is just, it's all random. I don't see how this is not random. But after I've played 3, 4, and I've played more times since, no, it's not as random as you think. There is a definite strategy to this. One of the key strategies that I'll mention is don't just keep playing all of your cards every turn, because that leaves you with no or few options on your next turn. Any cards you don't play carry over to your further turns, and keep in mind that every card has that ability on the back of discard to get 1 conversation point, or discard 2 of them to change a 4 into a success. So just having cards in hand can be beneficial. And don't dismiss that extra point on the conversation meter, because it can be helpful as well. So I'm going to save that card for later. I think what I'll do right now is I'll see if I can cool things down a bit. You do want to try and keep a hold of that threat meter. So I've got a card here called Keep Cool. And what we've got here is 2 successes will actually drop the threat meter and increase my conversation points. 1 success will drop the threat meter by 1. And if I fail, then the conversation points will actually drop by 1. But that is better than a fail on the other option that I have right now, which is small talk. This is all just small talk with the abductor, trying to get them onto my side and increasing my conversation points. But you'll see this symbol here with the red X through the conversation bubble. That means that the conversation ends right there. Basically, thematically, the way you can picture this game is every turn is me calling, or the abductor calling me. It's a communication between the 2 of us. And if at any point there's a text bubble with that red X through it, that means she's hung up on me. She's annoyed with me, and she just hangs up. Conversation's over. You can no longer play any more cards. You can't even discard them to get the 1 conversation point. That is the end of your turn. So I don't want to be playing cards that risk that early in my turn, because it could end the turn prematurely.
Welcome to the stream, Amy.
Amy?
Amy.
Amy.
She just stumbled onto this live stream, and this game
All
has
right.
been on her radar for a while, and
Excellent.
she's happy to watch and to learn more.
All right. Then I hope that I can teach you well. Thank you for joining us, Amy. So I'm going to play Keep Cool. Again, I get to roll 2 dice, and I'm hoping to lower the threat meter. 1 success again, so I get to lower it by 1. Now, if I can get that down, again, if I can get that down to 1 or 0, I'm going to get 3 dice to roll, which drastically increases my odds. But you don't necessarily want to spend too much time trying to get that lower, because if you spend too much time, again, I've only got roughly 11 turns to try and finish this game. But that was a good start. So I think I will actually go again. Will I go again? I'll go again. I'll see if I can get it a little lower. If I had not, so I'll show you just a bit of the strategy behind this. With the Keep Cool card, if I had not succeeded at that roll, if I had failed and it dropped my conversation point by 1, I might have just ended my turn right there and saved these cards for my next turn. Because that was a success, I'll try one more time. So again, I've got my second Keep Cool card. I won't bother showing that a second time. I get to roll 2 dice. And 1 success again. So it goes down 1 more. That's a great start. I'm still within the range of only rolling 2 dice, but now I'm 1 away from getting that 3rd die. However, I don't have anything in my hand at the moment that would let me drop it 1 more. So I think what I'll do next is I'll play Small Talk. So this is the card that I was showing you that is just all trying to increase your conversation points. And again, that's the currency in the game that you can use to buy the rest of the cards that are out here on the tableau. So I'll give that a shot. It does come at the risk of failure, meaning that it is the end of the conversation right there, but let's see what I can do. So no matter what, I'll get something. And 1 success again does mean I get 2 points on the conversation meter. So I don't want to jinx myself, but this is an okay start. I don't mind this, but it's a long way to go. So because that was a success, which means it didn't end the conversation, I'll play my other Small Talk card and hope I can get a few more points out of this. And there's a fail. All right, so the failure on that, so I'll show that once more. The failure on that is the bottom one. I get 1 more conversation point, but she hangs up. That's the end of the conversation. So that was played. 1 more point gets me to 3. Conversation is over, which means even if I wanted to discard this to get 1 more point, can't use it. So we go into the spend phase. I have 3 points to spend. And I know you can't see the costs on here from the overhead. It's a little far away, but basically it's 1.2 all the way up to here, 3 points, and then it just goes up. That top row is all the way from 4 to 8 points. It's very difficult to get that high because conversation points do not carry over from round to round. You need to spend them or lose them. So it's hard to get to those higher levels, but there are other ways to get some of those cards, and I'll show you that later. So 3 points to spend. Let's see here. I think I will get... You know what? I'm going to go straight to a 3-cost card. Hostage Escort. I'll show you what that is when I play it. So it goes straight to my hand and will be available for my next turn. If there were any 0-cost cards, I would also get to take those. Once you're done purchasing, so I spent the 3, any cards that were played will then get redistributed into the tableau. You cannot purchase any cards that were played on the same turn. That's why they go up here. They're away from the tableau. And at the end of your spending, these will then get reset. So those were all the 0-cost cards. They'll go back here. They'll be available on my next turn for my next purchase. So after the spend phase, you then go to the terror phase. And this is where pretty much always bad things happen. So the first terror card is Fit of Rage. So she's not too happy with me. And here's what a terror card looks like. So that's Fit of Rage. Now on this one, immediately the threat level goes up 2 points. So from 2 to 4. So I'm no longer trying to chase those 3 dice because that's too far away. But at the end of the next conversation phase, it's going to go back down 1. So she's having a fit, and then she'll calm down a little bit. The net result is still going up 1, but it's pushing me up 2. And then they do have a reminder here, putting it underneath the conversation bubble. So it's another alert token that will go underneath the conversation bubble just to remind me that at the end of the next conversation phase, I'll get to drop it back down 1. And now that we've discussed how that threat meter works, I'm going to show you a couple of things that can happen with that meter. So you already know it affects dice. Actually, I could probably do this on the other one. It's a smaller board. All right. So you already know it affects dice. If I get down to a threat level of 0 or 1, I'll get to roll 3 dice, which is great. But if I go all the way up to 7, I'm only going to get to roll 1 die. Now what happens if you go beyond either end is if I go beyond 7, so if I get to 7 and it increases again, a hostage is killed. And that'll happen every time it goes beyond 7. If I get down to 0 and it lowers, I'll actually get to save a hostage. So you want to manage that for sure, not just with the number of dice that you get to roll, but also you do not want to get to that 7 and continually having hostages killed off. Okay, so that was the terror phase. We then go into the next conversation phase. So that's where I get to use these dice. Now, before I do that, the reminder there says I need to have a threat roll. And if it's 2 1s, this will be the last turn because of her current escape demand, which is she's just going to walk right out of here. 1 1 and a 5. I'm okay. And I hate seeing those successes wasted on that roll, but yeah, that's a tough card to get at the start for multiple reasons. All right, so going into the conversation phase. This might be a short turn. So like I was saying, you don't want to just play all your cards on 1 turn because it leaves you few cards for your next turn, and that's the situation that I'm in right now. I've got 2 cards. I'll show you what those are. So I have another What Are Your Demands card, which I already know what her demands are. There are no unrevealed demands. So this card is a little irrelevant right now. The other card is the card that I have purchased, which is Hostage Escort. So these symbols are hostages that get saved, which is great. The fail is adding another hostage to the hostage pool and ending the conversation right there, which is not great. That's a result I do not want. So I'm in a situation where I would like to play this card, but if I get a 4, again, if I get that roll, I would like to be able to discard 2 cards to be able to change that into a success. And if I play that card, I'm only left with 1 card. So this is where the strategy comes in. It's not always just play your cards and hope for the best. There are definitely key times to play cards. So in this case, I do believe my best action, actually, my action is going to be discarding this card. So the What Are Your Demands card, again, options are reveal demands. If I get the double success, that would be fantastic because I would get +2 and be able to purchase more cards. But that's not great odds. The single success would let me increase 1, but I'd be risking increasing the threat meter for no point because, again, I can discard this card to just get 1 point. A lot of people kind of dismiss the discarding of cards for 1 point because they think, well, 1 conversation point isn't huge, but there's no point in me rolling and risking. So what I'll do is I will just discard that card. I get the 1 point, and I'll end the conversation right there. I'm going to hang up on the abductor, taking control of this conversation. So it's a short turn. I go straight to the spend phase with 1 point. I can get a card called Consider This. And this, again, it's the same as any other card. I can discard for 1 point or discard 2 cards to get a success from a 4. But the ability on the front is being able to re-roll 1 die. So this would be great to be able to get out of certain situations, or try to anyway, increase my odds.
Yes, it's a risky move.
And that's what hostage negotiating is all about, isn't it? It's not cut and dry.
It's like a movie.
It is. So I'm going to save that 1 card. Then I go to the terror phase. Spend phase. I've done my spending. Back up once more. Spend phase. I also get to take all the 0 cost cards. Now you get to take those, even if you were negative conversation points, you can always buy these because they don't cost anything. So that will go into my hand as well. Then this resets, and that will be available for my future turns. And I do have the reminder underneath my text bubble saying that the threat level then goes back down 1 from that, that previous terror card. So I can remove that marker. Now we go to the terror phase. Okay, and this card is, I've got a bad feeling about this. That's pretty much going to be happening all the time. I don't have a good feeling about any of this game. You can see that's a pretty big +1 there that's going to be going on the threat meter. And then there's a little part at the bottom that I'll explain. So first is up 1 on the threat meter. The bottom part, some cards have additional text at the bottom. If any unrevealed demand cards, increase it another 1. Now I have all 1, but all demands revealed at the moment, so that will not affect me. But if any more demands had come in and they were still face down, it would be going up again, which again, you don't want that getting too high.
We have a comment that
Sure.
Ziggy Bobinator, I love to say that name, I might say that all night now long.
Yep.
He loves the art, and it is very beautiful to look at.
That would be a she, and she's from Toronto actually.
She?
Yes,
Oh, I'm
Ziggy
sorry.
Bob, that's okay. It's not easy to tell by names, but yes, the art is fun. The art is, and the colors, everything is very clear as well. Some games, the symbology behind it can be a little confusing at times, but everything on this is quite clear. Okay, so we're into turn 3. We're into the next conversation phase. Now I do have a lot of cards to play, and I'm going to start with that Hostage Escort. So this is the card that I had purchased 2 turns ago, and this is a way that I can start getting some hostages saved. But now I've got more cards that will allow me increased odds, we'll say, to try and resolve this and get a success out of it. So I'm playing Hostage Negotiator. I get to roll 2 dice. Ooh, okay, and this is why I did not do this last turn. This was my result. 2 4s. And again, I need to discard 2 cards to make one of those a success. And I only had 1 card left over. Now I have a bunch of cards, so I do have the ability to do that. I've got 2 options. I could discard 2 cards to get 1 success, or I could try the consider this card that I just purchased to re-roll one of them. But really, if I'm going to spend that, I might as well pair it with another card and discard it to just get the success. So I'm definitely going to discard some. I have one of my What Are Your Demands cards in my hands. Not needed right now, so I will discard that. And I will discard... I'm not going to discard the reroll because that could definitely come in handy. I think I'm going to discard one of the Keep Cool cards. So I've got 2 cards that I'm discarding, and again, 2 cards changes that 4 into a success. So I have 1 success, which will get me 1 1 hostage. And I could, if I want, because I did roll 2 4s there, I could discard 2 more to change that one. That actually might be worth it. Because right now, so I'll show you that card once more. What I'm playing right now is the Hostage Escort. So I've got 1 success going. That's going to get me 1 hostage, but annoy the abductor and increase the threat meter, which I'm at a 4 right now, and I'm not comfortable going higher. So I think I would like to get it to the 2 successes so that I can save 2 hostages and not increase the threat meter. I think that would be worth it. So I'm going to discard. I'm going to discard a Keep Cool and a Small Talk. So 2 more cards gone, but I now have 2 successes. Changing that, I get 2 hostages saved. Now Elijah's bottom text box says any way out. That's the one that I described, where anytime a hostage goes either saved or killed, she's going to have another demand. So that happens right away. There's another demand. But I don't get to see what it is until I play my What Are Your Demands card. Now I did just discard those so that I could save those hostages, but obviously saving hostages is better than not getting the escape demand. That leaves me with 2 cards. and I think I will play a small talk. So the flavor text on this is, I feel like we could be good friends if we met under normal circumstances. I don't know if I'd ever say that to an abductor, but that's the flavor text here. What do you like to do for fun? So, a little small talk. Let's engage. That would be 0 successes. So that is, I get 1 conversation point, but she hangs up. I'm not engaging in small talk. We are not friends under any circumstances. Conversation over. And that's okay with me because I wasn't going to be playing any more cards anyway. I'm left with 1 conversation point, and now I go into the spend phase. 1 point would get me another consider this card. I get to take any of these 0 cost cards, and then I reset these. So we've got the 3-point card that I purchased before. That goes back into the tableau, just like all of the 0-point cards. So that is done. Then we go to the terror phase, and what do we have next?
Just to interrupt, Ziggy
Sure.
Bobinator says that while you're making small talk with the hostage taker, you should ask her what board game she likes. Bit of thematic.
That works.
chit-chat.
Yes, I agree. That would be some great small talk. That would be a nice distraction. Maybe she'd want to play a game of Hostage Negotiator and play on the good side. Who knows? So the next terror card is actually another minor demand. So again, with most of the abductors, they're going to have major demands as their starting demands. Elijah's a little different because all she wants to do is get out. It's all going to be escape demands that are up there. But this terror card is a minor demand. And her demand is beer, and I respect that. I normally demand beer as well. So anytime you get one of these minor demands, they're going to go up into the same area as the other demand cards, but they play a little differently. So I can concede this during any conversation, and the result would be take any conversation card from the available area into my hand for free. And that sounds fantastic, doesn't it? That's how I would get these 6, 7, or 8 cost cards into my hand for free. However, at the bottom of the card, at the bottom of all of these demands, there's a penalty for conceding. And in this case, the threat meter goes up 2, which would put me on the brink of going into that 7, which only lets me roll 1 die. So I will not be doing this now, but I'll do that when it's a beneficial time to do it. If I can get that threat meter down, it might be nice to do. So I'll put that up there. Okay, that's the terror card. So next we go back into the next conversation phase, and I will have to roll to see if we get those all 1s. Nope. Okay there. And we go into the conversation phase. So I'm back down to 3 cards here. I'm not leaving myself a lot between turns, which is unfortunate. And the main reason for that is to get those 2 hostages, I actually discarded 4 cards to change 2 4s into successes. Still worth it in my eyes. But this might be a short turn. Actually, I've only got 1 card to play because right now I have one of the cards where I can have the successes or fails, and then it's just 2 reroll cards. So right now these aren't doing me any good. I could discard those to get 1 conversation point, but ultimately they cost me 1 conversation point to buy. I don't think that's a worthwhile exchange. However, the single card I do have is, what are your demands? And right now I do have an unrevealed demand, and you've seen already that there are penalties for having demands that you don't know about. So I'm going to play that. I want to find out, what's your additional demand? 1 success. That's all I need. I get to reveal a demand. Let's see what that second one is. I'm going to vanish into thin air. Okay. So here's another escape demand. I can spend 3 conversation points to remove this demand from play and replace it with a new revealed escape demand card, so it would come into play automatically revealed. I must immediately concede this demand when a gold pivotal event terror card is drawn. So if you remember from setup, the bottom card of the deck is a gold pivotal event terror card. So right now, I don't need to worry about this until I get to the bottom of the deck. If I get that far and this is not resolved, then I might be in some trouble. But there are other things that can actually trigger additional additional gold pivotal event cards to come into play. So I do need to keep an eye on this, because what happens is I have to immediately concede it when a gold pivotal event card is drawn, and the penalty for conceding, the abductor immediately escapes. It's not at the end of the turn, that's it, game over. I'm going to vanish into thin air. So I'm going to place one of the alert markers next to the terror deck, and that will be a reminder for me that I need to pay attention, because as soon as a gold one is pulled, that's game over. So I can get rid of that for 3 conversation points, which is a little costly right now because I'm not getting any higher than 3 the way I've been playing. But that is a revealed demand, so that's okay. I have no conversation points, but I have no cards to play, so that will end my conversation there. I then go to the spend phase, where I can still purchase all of these 0-cost cards. So those will come to my hand. That gets reset. And into the next terror phase. I want to play a game. Like Ziggy Bobinator was saying, maybe this abductor enjoys games. Ask her if she likes games. Well, apparently she wants to play a game. So, I think there's going to be a little randomness here. Roll a die and compare the result to the threat level. Right now my threat level is 4. If it's lower than the threat level, I actually get to save a hostage. If it's equal, there's no effect. And if it's higher, then she kills off a hostage. Not a fun game for the hostages, but I'm willing to play. Not that I have a choice. A 1, that is definitely lower than the current threat level, so I actually get to save a hostage. That's 3. 3 of the minimum 4 that I need to fulfill one of those 3 requirements to end the game. So that is good. But again, with Elijah's effect at the bottom, anytime a hostage is either saved or killed, she gets another demand. So that is a 3rd escape demand that comes in. All right. So that was the terror phase. We're going into the next conversation phase. But first, I need to roll for that. I'm going to walk right out of here. That would be a 3 and a 5, so that's okay. So I can go on to the conversation phase. Okay, I've got more options here. Let's see. I don't want to use any small talk cards because, again, the failure result on the small talk cards is ending the conversation immediately. So those will not be played anytime soon. I think I would like to get that threat meter down a bit, because that's going to be causing some problems. So I'm going to play 1 Keep Cool. There's Keep Cool. It's all about modifying the threat meter. The fail is losing a conversation point. So we'll see what happens. If I don't lose conversation points, then I can try and build those up with some of these cards. If I do lose a conversation point, I don't want to start in the negative and build them. I'll just wait until another turn to do that. But let's start with this. See if I can lower that meter. 1 success and a 4, which would let me discard 2 cards to increase, to change that to 2 successes. But honestly, the 2 successes in this case is not worth the jump. I've already got 1 success. That means I do get to lower the threat meter by 1. If I discard 2 cards, I'd also get to increase the conversation meter by 1. But 2 cards, I could just discard them by themselves and get 2 conversation points out of it. So there's no point in increasing it to 2. So I'll take the 1 success. Threat meter will go down 1. So I think at this point, actually I also want to know what that demand is. And I do have a what are your demands card. So let's go with that. See if I can reveal that 3rd one. I cannot. That is a fail. And a fail not only does not let me see that demand, it's going to increase the threat meter and undo what I had just done. So I think what I'll do, I'm going to play one of my rerolls. So consider this. Let's go for some flavor text here. While you're thinking about my offer, consider this. If you do the right thing, you'll be 1 step closer to getting out of this alive. Let's see if I can change her mind. 1 die? No. Do I burn another card to do this? I'm going to try again. I think this is a key turning point here. No. Oh boy, this is getting rough. Okay. She does not want me to succeed at this, and those are the only options I have. I don't have any more rerolls, so I have to accept the failure on that, which is the threat meter goes up 1. All right, it's time to try and get some conversation points. So I'm going to play small talk. I'll try asking about games. I'll see if she likes to play any games. 1 success. That gets me 2 points, and the conversation keeps going. She wasn't insulted by me asking about games. So I'm going to go once more. Another small talk. It's not leaving me a lot of cards, but I want to try and get some points to purchase something stronger. 1 more success gets me 2 more points. So I'm at 4. I'm at 4. I think I'm going to discard. Oh. Yeah, I'm going to discard this 1 card to get that extra point to get me up to 5. So what I'm looking at, I know you can't see the costs, but hostage escort is how I was able to remove a few of the hostages, save them. I'd like to get that, which costs 3 conversation points. That only leaves me with 1, and I don't have any of the rerolls available. Those are the only ones that cost 1 point to purchase. So I'd be losing that 1 point. And again, you cannot purchase any cards that were played this turn. That's why they're sitting up here. So if I just discard this instead of risk rolling it to get some more conversation points, it will get me 1 more point, and then I can purchase any of the 2-cost cards in addition to that 3-cost. So I think that's what I'll do. I'll discard that. It puts me up to 5. I'm out of cards, but I will purchase the hostage escort. And just take a breath. So that's my purchase. I also get the 0-cost card that's sitting there. These get reset, and I've got 5 of the 0-cost sitting here. That was a lot of cards played that turn, and the 2 1-cost cards. So those are now available for my next turn. Okay, into the terror phase. What do we have next? Hanging on every word. So we are listening to each other carefully here. During the next conversation phase, you may spend 1 conversation point and ignore the end conversation symbol. Do this as many times as you wish, spending 1 conversation point each time. So I can prevent her from hanging up. I can keep her on the phone that little bit longer if I keep spending points to do it. Now I had spent those 5. I'll drop that down. And as a reminder for that, I'll be sticking one of these alert tokens on top of the conversation point tracker. Okay. So I'm able to keep the conversation going. However, my next turn, I've only got 3 cards. Not a great conversation to be had here. Yeah, that can be a beneficial terror card, and there's not very many, well, there are very few beneficial terror cards in there, and I'm not going to get to take full advantage this round, which is unfortunate. I am only going to play 1 card. So I do have a hostage escort card here. Do I play that? Okay. Nope, I'm going to go with what are your demands? I need to reveal that demand card. Let's see if I can get it this time. She didn't want to tell me last time. Oh, discard 2 cards to get a success. But these are the 2 cards I just spent 5 conversation points on. That's too big a price to pay. I can't throw those away. What this means is I have to accept the fail. It goes up 1 more, so I'm at a threat level of 5. Oh, this is unfortunate. No points to spend. My next turn will be better, though. So this marker is going to go away because that was from the terror card that is no longer in effect. Spending. I don't have anything to spend on these, but I do get these 0-cost cards. This one resets. And we go into a terror phase. Hopefully it isn't something that is affected by face-down demands. Of course it is. So, I've got +1. This is, you weren't listening to me. So she thinks I'm ignoring her, and she's getting a little agitated by that. +1 on the threat meter for each unrevealed demand card in play. And there is indeed one, so it's going to go up to 6. That's getting very dangerous now. And discard all. What are your demand cards from hand? Because obviously I'm not listening to her. I've got one in hand. The other one is gone. So that is out of my hand. But there is an additional text box at the bottom. If any unrevealed demand cards, I do get to reveal a demand. So at least there's a bit of good with the bad there. I get to see what this third demand is. And it is for 2 identical black sedans. This is one of her escape plans. And with this one, I can spend 1 conversation point to concede during any conversation. And if I do so, I may take 2 1-cost conversation cards in my hand from anywhere, even if they were already played this turn. So with the current setup, the 1-cost conversation cards would be those re-rolls. They consider this. So even if I've played them this turn, I can spend 1 point to concede that demand of giving her 2 black sedans, and then I get to pull those back into my hand and replay them. Now the penalty for conceding this is there's always a downside. The abductor escapes at the end of this conversation. So I need to know I can end it on the turn that I concede this, because otherwise the abductor wins. So that's a last-ditch effort. I'll give her her sedans, but I need to know I can end it right then. Otherwise she drives away. Okay, going into the next conversation phase. What are we looking at for deck size? I've got 5 cards, so I've got 5 turns left to try and resolve this, and there's still 5 hostages sitting there. I'm at a threat level of 6. It started off all right, but it's going downhill quick. Let's see what I can do. So at the start of the conversation phase, I do still have that first demand that says I need to roll. A 1 and a 2. That's very close to 2 1s, but it is not 2 1s, so we do continue on. This is good. Oh boy. Okay. I am going to start with... I would like to start with my hostage escort card and get some more hostages out of there. However, if I get a single success, the threat meter goes up 1, which then puts me at that 1 die level where I don't get to roll 2. I only get to roll 1 die. So I do not want to play that yet. That is a risky proposition. And if I fail, she just hangs up immediately. So I need to improve the situation before doing that. All right, so I'm going to start with Keep Cool. I'm going to try and calm the situation with a Keep Cool card. I can sense you're getting anxious. Let me put you at ease. We all want a peaceful resolution. Yeah, we do. I'm going to change the dice up here. All right. No successes. That is not good. Do I have any re-rolls? I do not. So I go -1 on the conversation points. I'm going to try that again. I have another Keep Cool here. I don't like those dice. I'll try these 2. 2 4s there. So I don't have successes, but I could discard 2 cards to get a success.
You and me both, Siggy Bobinator. She supposes that she does have enough nail to gnaw off. This is the first time I've seen this game, and this is, like you said earlier, this is like watching a movie. This is super tense in here.
It is tense. It is tense. And yeah, things are getting heated here. I need a success. I need to drop that threat meter before I try and get the hostage escort in there. So I will discard 2 cards. I was hoping to be able to play more this turn, but I'll discard 2 small talk cards to get 1 success. which means I do get to lower it by 1 to get it away from that 7 threat level. Now I'll come. Oh boy! But now I have no cards to discard for the hostage escort. No, I don't want to risk it. I don't want to risk the hostage escort this turn. Because if I fail, that's a big loss. So I'll play Just Take a Breath. This is the other card I purchased was it 2 turns ago, I believe. So this is all about modifying the threat meter. I would have preferred to have cards to discard to be able to earn successes on this, but... Ooh. All right, here we go. I'll try this. Need a success. Nothing. -2. So I'm down to -3 on the conversation points. And if the threat is at K, which is 7, which is that kill level, she'd kill somebody off and then drop the threat meter by 1. But I'm not there, so it's just lose 2 points. I don't get to lower the meter at all. That's it. I am not going to play this. I cannot risk my hostage escort at this point. So...
Jeremy has never tried a solo game before, but he thinks this looks really good, and he wishes that there was a 2-player variant.
That would be interesting, having one person as the abductor and one person as the negotiator, for sure. Yeah, I can't think of any games that would be like that. That would be interesting. But this is great as a solo game. Yeah, there's a lot to do here for sure. So, conversation's over at that point. I cannot risk my hostage escort at this point in the game. So I'm going to go to the spend phase, which unfortunately I have nothing to spend. I'm at -3. But like I said before, even if you're at a negative amount, you still get those 0 cost cards. In this case, all 1 of them. My next turn is going to be a weak one. These get put back in. That's wasted. And then 5 cards for my next turn. Okay, here we go. Another tarot card. Oh, this is all your fault. She is not happy with me. I think you can tell what that symbol means. We're killing off a hostage. All right, hostage. Gone. Now, like I was saying at the opening, there's, and I hate saying it, there's a silver lining to that, because one of the 3 win conditions is not having any hostages in the hostage pool. I only need to save half of them. So whether they're killed or saved, that's still going towards those win results. But yeah, I don't like saying that's a good thing. Now it does have another text box at the bottom. If any unrevealed demand cards, +1 on the threat meter. I was able to get that 3rd demand revealed, so that's good. However, she did just kill somebody off, and again, according to her text box, she's going to have another escape demand come in play. Now it does cap at 4, so there is another escape demand here, but that one I don't need to worry about coming into play. I do need to worry about revealing that though, so I don't have to suffer any of those negative consequences for not having any unrevealed demands. So that was the terror phase. All right, conversation phase at the next turn, and I'm running out of turns here. So to start, I do need to roll 2 dice because of that first escape demand. Okay, no 1s, that's okay. And conversation phase, and I've only got 2 cards. And I will play one of them because the 1 card, the 1 0 cost card I picked up is what are your demands? And now I do have a demand that is sitting there unrevealed. Let's see if I can get her to tell me what that last demand is. Nope, I would need to discard 2 cards. I've only got 1 card in hand, so that is a fail. The threat meter goes back up to 6, and our conversation is over right there. Oh no, short turn. Okay, I have nothing to spend, so I only take the 0 cost cards. That resets. Another tarot card, and we have another minor demand. This is starting to spiral out of control here. Yes?
We have a comment from the Ziggy Bobinator.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I get it. The reason why you're not doing well is because you're not drinking your beer.
And that's the problem with a solo game. When Mandi's here, she can take control of the chat for a bit, or she's taking her turn. Thank you, Ziggy Bob.
I was supposed to provide him with opportunities to drink, but we're both getting so caught up in the game.
Okay. Yeah, things are getting tense. I need to find my center and calm down a bit. Okay. So the next terror card is another minor demand. Like I said, this is starting to spiral out of control here a bit. This demand is for a radio. So she wants a beer, she wants radio, she wants 2 matching black sedans. For this one, so again, I'll show you a minor demand. This will go into play until I concede that demand, until I hand her her radio. And if I do that, on the next threat roll, I get to actually roll 2 additional dice. So I'll show that once more. So there's one of the symbols. So that is, I get to roll 2 additional dice. You'll never roll more than 5 in this game. You can get up to 3 if you get the threat level down to 0, which I'm at the opposite end of the spectrum. And then you could add 2 more with situations like this. But like any other demand, there is a penalty for conceding. After the next conversation card is resolved, end the conversation. So she hangs up there. So it gives me, I give her the radio, I get 1 shot to talk to her, and then that's it. End the conversation. So a lot of these cards, you'll see basically what I'm trying to do is I'm building up to 1 big turn, because a lot of those cards are, if I concede them, I get a benefit, but the game ends at the end of that turn. So I'm kind of building up to have 1 big climactic turn. So that was the terror. I then go back to conversation phase. I need to start, because of that first escape demand, by rolling 2 dice. So get those out of there. Okay, no 1s, that's fine. Okay, I have some cards to play. I'm still at a threat level of 6. That is dangerous. I need to get out of that. So I'm going with keep cool. Just keep cool, man. I need to discard again to get a success. This is rough. I don't want to do it. I don't want to keep discarding cards. So I will take the failure on that, which is -1 conversation point. But I do have another keep cool card. So I'll try again this way. Instead of discarding 2 cards and having fewer to play, I'll just try another keep cool. See if I can diffuse the situation a little better here. 2 more 4s, which means I would have to discard 2 cards again. I can't do it. Nope, not going to do it. -1 on the conversation meter. My threat level's still at 6. I think I'm going to go right to... So my options right now, so you can see what I'm deciding between. I have 2 small talk, which it doesn't quite show up as well there, but 2 small talk is all about increasing conversation points. I'm already at -2. There's no point in trying to increase at this point. I have what are your demands, which I do have an unrevealed demand card there, but I still have my hostage escort. I think I'm going to play that now, while I have cards to discard. I would like to use what are your demands, but the failure on that one is the threat meter going up by 1, which would be 7, dropping me down to 1 die. Oh, this is such a sticky situation.
And as Beak Nasty comments, those dice are straight up mean.
They are. They definitely are. Okay. Yeah, let's give it a shot. Let's get the hostage escort in there. So the flavor text on this one. A hostage is injured. We're willing to send someone in, unarmed, to escort them out. Is that okay with you? I really hope that's okay with her. I really hope that's okay with her. It is, to a certain degree. I got 1 success. But I'm going to be in a stickier situation. So 1 success here I do get to release a hostage. That's fantastic. But the threat meter is going to go up, and it's going to go up to 7 now. Ooh, okay. Hostage is gone. Threat meter's up to 7. I'm down to rolling 1 die at a time. That's not good. The 2 success option is now eliminated because I only have 1 die, and I've only got a 1 in 3 chance of even getting the success on 1 die. Conversation is still going if I wish. I don't think I have anything worth playing, though. Oh, you know what? All right, now that I've done it, I did get 1 more hostage out. I have the 50% I need, so that's good. I'm going to try and reveal that demand. I only get 1 die, and that's a fail, which means, so the fail on what are your demands? Threat level is going to go up 1. Threat level is already maxed. So as I said at the opening, if you go beyond either end, in this case, I go beyond 7, I kill off a hostage. And then it just stays at 7. It doesn't go beyond that. However, like I've said before, not necessarily a bad thing. As much as it irks me to say having a hostage killed is good, in game mechanic sense, that's 1 step closer to end game conditions. But I am in a sticky situation with only 1 die. That's the end of the conversation. I don't want to play these. There's really no point in playing these at this point because they're just to increase my conversation points, and I'm already at -2. So to spend, I get the 1 card that is a 0 cost. That will reset to 0. These come back into play. So the hostage escort goes over there, and the 0 cost cards go here. And we reveal another terror card. We're getting low on the deck here. I've got a bad feeling about this. There it is. Oh boy. +1. Now, this is an interesting situation. So, +1 on the meter. What happens? Hostage gets killed off. That's 3 hostages killed. If any unrevealed demand cards, +1 on the meter. Unrevealed, +1 on the meter. That's another hostage killed. However, I have half of them saved. The hostage pool is empty. That's 2 of the 3 conditions needed to win. This may turn around really quickly. The bad luck might turn into a good thing. Okay, so that is the terror phase. I go to conversation phase. Let's start with, oh yes. So the escape demand, the first one, was I have to do a threat roll, and if every die result is 1, then she's going to just walk right out at the end of the turn. I'm now down to 1 die for my threat rolls, which means there's a 1 in 6 chance this is the last turn. Okay, that's okay. That was not a 1. Whew. I don't like a threat meter of 7, although it's kind of helped me out with the hostage situation. All right, I've got 2 turns left after this one. However, all I need to do is eliminate the abductor. So I'm going to remind you what I have up here for demands that I can concede. I can take any conversation card from the available area and put it into my hand for free if I give her some beer. The penalty for conceding is +2 on the meter, which there's nobody else to kill off. So at this point, that's really not a problem. So I probably will pull the trigger on that, so to speak, metaphorically speaking. I can give her a radio to get 2 dice on the next conversation, on the next threat roll. But after that conversation card is resolved, conversation over. So that's last ditch. If I give her her black sedan, I need to spend 1 conversation point to take the 2 1-cost cards into hand. Spend 3 would get rid of, all right, let's see here. I'm going to go 1 more turn. and I'm going to try and purchase some cards that are going to help me out. But I'm going to try and end this before that pivotal event, the gold pivotal event card. So conversation phase. At this point, revealing that demand. I don't need to. Okay, I'm going to go for some small talk. Do you like board games? Do you like solo games? Do you like one versus many games? Oh, I only get one die. I only get one die. Okay, here's how I'm going to play this. And that's why I say this is not pure random. Yes, there is a lot of random with the dice, but there's many ways to try and mitigate it. And one of them is discarding cards just for the conversation points. So here's how I'm going to work this. I'm going to discard what are your demands.
Small talk at this stage is, well, I hear you like killing hostages.
Yes, it is, isn't it? Apparently she likes killing them as much as I like saving them, since we've done 4 each. If I pull the trigger at that though. Okay, no, I thought that was going to work. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to discard that 1 to get 1 point. And then I'll do the small talk. Now, the reason I've done it in that order is I'll show you again, just as a reminder. That failure result does get me 1 point, but it ends the conversation. And that includes discarding cards to build your points. So if I wanted to get that point, I'm better to do it now to guarantee the 1, just in case she hangs up on me during this attempt at small talk over how much we like saving and killing off hostages. Especially because I only get to roll 1 die at this point. So here we go. That's a fail. So I only get the 1 point. Conversation is over, but now I have 2 to spend. And I'm going to have to end this on my next turn, because if I do not, that pivotal event will be the turn after, and that is what's going to trigger the I'm going to vanish into thin air, and that's what the reminder here is. I immediately concede this event if a gold pivotal event is drawn, and the conceding is she immediately escapes. That's it. She's gone into thin air. So I cannot let this go to the last turn. So 2 to spend. This will add conversation points and dice. I think this is the way to go. Just take a breath. Because just take a breath is one that will help me. I've played it earlier, but I'll show it again. It messes with the threat meter. So I have a chance at dropping it down to 6, which would give me 1 more die to roll. So I'm going to purchase that for 2. I also get these 0 cost cards. These get reset. That is the spend phase. We go on to the terror phase. Our last red terror card is irrelevant. Hostage escape attempt. So a hostage is which
they're all dead.
Yeah, they're all dead or gone, but I'll show you this card. So apparently a non-existing hostage is going to try to escape, and I would be making a threat roll. With a success, somebody is saved. With a fail, somebody is killed. One way or another, one of them gets removed, but I'm already at 0. So that is actually a non-event at this point. I'm okay with that. Non-event is better than bad event. Okay, this is my last turn. Let's see if I can work this out. Well, first thing, this is irrelevant at this point, but I would roll 1 die because of that first escape plan. It's a 2, not a 1, so that's okay. But really, this is, unless something changes throughout this turn, I'm gearing up for this to be my last turn. I'm going to go all out and try and end it here. So let's start with getting her some beer, shall we? I'm going to concede some beer. I appreciate that. You know what? Speaking of which, getting dry.
Okay, we have a cheer. Imagine the pom-poms flailing again.
Okay.
Mike can do it. Yes, he can, if the dice can properly land.
Very nice.
Go,
Thank
Mike.
you.
Go, Mike. Go, Mike. I hope I did that justice.
I appreciate that. All right, here we go. So I'm conceding beer, which lets me take any conversation card from the available area into my hand for free. So, and the penalty is +2 to the meter. It's already maxed and there's nobody to kill. Let's see here. There are multiple options. I'm going to show you, because this is pretty much your only opportunity to see these high-level cards. The absolute most expensive one is called Total Mind Control. And that is some serious adjustment to the threat meter. Even a fail on that is dropping the threat meter by 2. 2 successes is dropping it by 4, which is fantastic, but irrelevant right now for me. The next one down, the 7 cost, is all snipers, engage targets. So this is trying to eliminate the abductor at this point. I'm going to back up. I just realized I should roll for that. Thematically, this doesn't make sense, which is why I passed by it. I'm going to go back to, I haven't done anything this turn, so that's fine. I'm going to go back to that terror card, the hostage escape attempt. Now, again, thematically, there are no hostages left, but I would still be rolling this because there are conditions that occur if the hostage pool is empty. So if the hostage pool is empty and you save somebody, the abductor surrenders at that point. And in this case, the game would be over if I can abduct her. If I can get her to surrender and capture her. If somebody is killed and it's empty, then I would have to flip a red card from the terror deck. So I actually have nothing to lose here, because the bad case is if somebody is killed, flipping red cards from your terror deck is decreasing the amount of turns you have. So you just flip it with no effect. It just reduces your timer, which wouldn't be a good thing, except right now I have no red cards. That was my last one. So I will roll, and if that is a success, that's a win before I even play this turn. So let's go for that. No, that's a fail. So no effect. I'm back to panic mode. Let's see what I can do. But there was a chance, and I wanted to let you know what happens if the pool is empty and those trigger. And frankly, I was really hoping that would be the win right there. Okay, so I've conceded beer, and this is actually my route to victory now.
Apple J25 says that the abductor never surrenders during the terror phase.
Thank you. That is an excellent point. You are correct. During the terror phase, no. But during the conversation phase, yes. So like I was saying, so yes, you are correct. That wouldn't have triggered there. Thank you very much for that. But it will trigger here. So the conceding the beer, I'm going to take secret extraction. You can see on that one, the fail on that is a pretty harsh fail during the game. You would actually have 2 hostages killed off, but you would save 1. Now, in my situation, it's not an instant win, but it's a good chance at a win. This result cannot cause the abductor to surrender. So that fail wouldn't have any effect one way or another. But if I can succeed at one of these 2, that would be a win. And I think that might be my best case scenario on a 1-card shot. Let's see here.
Jeff Siders is wondering if there's a way to reduce the threat level so that you can roll more dice.
There are cards here that would do that, but right now I'm getting 1 free card, and that is it. Now I'm also going to get re-rolls. So I have multiple cards here I can concede, multiple demands that I can concede. It's just a matter of figuring out the right combination to pull this off. Now if we were, I'm trying to end the game before I even get to that gold terror card because of the escape demand that's in play that says that as soon as I turn that over, the game is over anyway. I have not had a chance to remove it. There was a way that I could do it by spending 3 conversation points, but I never had the 3 to spend. So I don't want to get to that point. This is essentially my last turn. But if we did get to the gold terror card, you can actually purchase cards and play them at the same time, in the same turn, once you're on that last round. This isn't the official last round though. It's me calling it last round, and I'm going to try and win this turn.
That's amazing. Hello, Applej25. He's actually the designer. And he forgot to mention that before.
Thank you, AJ.
He and or she. So he's rooting for you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Good to know you're in the chat. You can definitely correct me on anything then. Yeah. So because, like I was saying, if it was the official last turn and this was the last card in the terror deck, you would get to purchase cards and use them the same turn. And like any other round, you cannot purchase cards that you've already played. So let's say I purchased the Hostage Escort, played it. I could purchase something else as long as I had the conversation points to do so. But because I do have that escape demand that is saying as soon as I turn that over, the game is immediately over, I'm calling this my last turn, but it's not the official one, so I can only use what's in my hand. So I am going to concede that, and I'm going to go for... Yep, I'm going to go for Secret Extraction. So I'm taking that as my free card for giving her beer. The threat meter goes up too, but in this case, that's irrelevant. There's nobody left for her to kill off. I'm just trying to get her out of there, alive or otherwise.
Thank you, Big Nasty. He would like to say that he's never been here before, but he is, you're doing the game justice.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you. So I'm going all out here. I'm going to give her everything she wants. The radio demand, I'm going to wait and save that because the radio demand lets me get 2 additional dice for my roll, but that's it. Conversation ends at the end of the next conversation card. So I'm going to save that for when I've got the Secret Extraction going. So that will increase my odds. I'll wait on that. I will, however, I want to concede the 2 identical black sedans. But I need a conversation point to be able to do that. So I think that's where I'm going to start. Okay. And I need a conversation point, which means, what are your demands? I'm going to discard that. I don't care what her demands are at this point. I'm just going to get her out of there. And that's why I was saying early on, do not dismiss the discard for conversation points. So I'm going to discard that one, get 1 conversation point. That will allow me to concede the 2 identical black sedans. I'll let her have her sedans. I get to spend 1 conversation point during any conversation. So I'll spend the 1 that I just received, and I can take the 2 1-cost cards no matter where they are. So those are now in my hand, and those are the ones that allow re-rolls. But it's also more cards in my hand for also changing the 4s into a success. The penalty for conceding that is the abductor escapes at the end of this conversation because I just gave her 2 black sedans. There's your way out. But I'm hoping to grab her before she drives away in those cars. Okay, we're building up here. I think the next thing is just the Secret Extraction. So here we go. I'll give her her radio. I'll concede her radio, or I'll concede to her the radio. The next threat roll, I'll show you that one again. I get 2 more dice. But this is it. The next conversation card I play, once it's resolved, she hangs up. Conversation is over. I guess because she just wants to listen to the radio. I don't know. Maybe she's listening to the Dice Tower podcast. All right. So I have 1 die because my threat meter's at 7. I get 2 more for the radio that I conceded to her. I'm now going to play Secret Extraction. I just need 1 success. 1 success will do it. I have ways to re-roll. Let's see. 2 4s there. I will discard 2 cards. Doesn't matter which 2 cards. That becomes a success. That will save a hostage. There are none, which means she is going to surrender, and she is captured. Whew.
Wow!
Game over. And there you have it. Wow. I did not think it was going to get to that point. But that's Hostage Negotiator. There you go. A successful one at that.
There's flailing pom-poms and happy designers, and
Excellent,
the crowd
excellent.
applauds.
I'm glad I could do the game justice and actually get a win for you, AJ. I appreciate that. All right. So there you go. There's Hostage Negotiator. It gets tense. It gets really tense. And that's just one of the abductors that are available. There are many abductors in that expansion, in the Crime Wave expansion, which again, that's a standalone expansion. The base game has a bunch more, and then there are the... I've already opened all the packs, but there are additional abductor packs that you can get. So I'm going to just show you. So they just come in these cello packs kind of thing. There's Abductor Pack 2, and each one has its own backstory. So, you know, I told you the backstory on that one was she got involved in a hit and run, panicked, and then hunkered down into a fast food restaurant taking 8 hostages. Things escalated quite quickly. So there's a whole bunch of different hostage packs that you can get. At this point, I will also show you. So if you get this box, the way you would get it is actually like this. I'll show.
Beak Nasty says, I am not Googling abductor packs. I know where that leads.
Safe search on, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So the box would come like this. And if you only got this box, you'd be wondering, why is there so much space in the box here? That's because, and I actually like the way they did this. This is the original game, and you can hold that inside. So instead of having multiple boxes by getting the expansions, everything fits into this expansion box, including all of the abductor packs. So I've got all of the abductor packs here. It comes with the dividers, which is fantastic as well. So each divider will have the abductor listed on it and all the cards that should be in that pack. And then you've got all of the base game and expansion cards that I've got separated as well. So I really like the way they've done the insert for this. They thought that through well. Sorry. So like I said, this playthrough used everything from this copy of the game through just the standalone expansion. You'd be able to play it exactly like this. The exception being the meeple source meeples that I purchased separately, purely cosmetic. You don't need those to play by any means. I think that's about it. Each of the hostages play completely different. They have their own separate story and, of course, their own demands. In this case, Elijah was all about just escape. She's panicked. She wants to get out of there, whereas others will have more major demands that could be a little more difficult to fulfill. And even different, there'll be different tracking elements. So they all play drastically differently, which helps with the variability in the game.
AJ would like to know if you've looked under the insert.
I have looked under the insert. I have not opened the envelope.
Oh.
But I will show that as well. Thank you for reminding me. I have not opened the envelope yet, but there is a rather hefty pack here that says, warning, do not open until you are ready. And I have not been ready. So I don't know what's in here. I don't know if AJ wants to spoil anything. Probably not. But there's, I don't know. It's thick. I'm going to say there's some cards in there. But anyway, that is hidden underneath the insert. So don't forget to look under there if you do get the Crime Wave expansion. I'm quite curious what's in there, and it's very difficult not to open it, but I am not ready to open it. Something tells me that I'll be ready when something tells me that I'm ready, but we'll see. I have not played anywhere near all of the abductors in this. I've gone through a few of them, but yeah, I'm not ready.
We're not getting any spoilers from AJ.
No, and nor should anybody get spoilers. So that's absolutely fine. Go back here. All right, so yeah, that is Hostage Negotiator. A very enjoyable and tense and panicky solo game. If anybody has any questions, you're more than happy to ask them here, or this video will be up on Dice Tower. Obviously, it'll stay up there. You can ask any questions there, and I do monitor these videos after the fact for a little while, for a week or two, just to see if anybody had any comments or questions. And they also go up onto the, after a while, we'll put it up onto the To Die For Games website as well. So I'm Michael. I can be found on Instagram as Pawlom, Pawlom. Twitter is Pawlom21. And here every Monday night. I'd like to thank Ripped Punzel, aka Susan, for watching the chat for me, because I really didn't get to look at the chat at all. So it is hard to do all of this, teach the game, and watch chat. So I appreciate Susan watching the chat for me and letting me know when there were questions or comments. And I appreciate everybody sticking around to watch that and sticking around after the technical difficulties we had at the start. I'm going to work on that streaming issue, but that's on my end. So I appreciate people sticking around. And I think that's about it. So I will tease next week's game. Next week, Mandi will still be recovering from Essen. She's in Germany right now, getting ready for all the goodness that's over there. I think she comes back maybe the day of the next stream, but she's obviously going to be recovering from that jet lag and all the fun games that she has that she's bringing back. She'll have all kinds of boxes to open. So it will be without Mandi, but the disembodied voice of Susan is actually going to join me at the table, and we're going to play through and teach Fate of the Elder Gods. It's going to be, that's the 30th, I believe. Today's the 23rd? Yes, that'll be the 30th of October. Day before Halloween. I think that is a nicely thematic game to play, because with that one, Fate of the Elder Gods, it's in the Cthulhu mythos, which many games do, and I enjoy almost all of those. But this one actually lets us play as the cultists. We get to try and bring the Elder Gods into our world instead of being the investigators trying to stop it and seal the portals. So that's going to be next Monday, and I'm here every Monday teaching and playing a game. So I hope that helped people decide whether or not this is a game for them and to get it to the table sooner. Other than that, thank you very much, everybody. More disembodied voices? Absolutely. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.